Today's video is going to be awesome and it's going to be one of the much awaited topic. How is the current market condition, let's say the job market condition in the Netherlands?
And even to be precise, the IT is out of every 20 jobs, one job is IT job. The companies are hiring only the areas where they need.
If you look at the current Dutch market, what are the jobs that are in high demand?
We want to bring the talent from abroad, not only from India. Look at the job, look at the company which is hiring, why you are the good fit for that.
Yeah.
Those are the first 3 steps to validate. The upcoming and which will be growing much faster is.
For example, people from India, they want to move here. What are the venues they can use to search for those kind of jobs? And once they find the right job, how do they approach it?
The Dutch government will audit the companies, how we are hiring as well.
And this is going to be one of the most asked questions from our viewers.
Right.
So in your view, what could be the possible reasons for the rejection? What are the pros and cons of moving to Netherlands, just to put it in a simple way? Do you think Dutch would be, the Dutch language requirements would be a barrier in any of these areas? So today we are going to meet Mr. Srini Ipli, the co-founder of BRAINBOX Consulting. This company started in 2017 and currently headquartered in Netherlands, and they have client base across Europe. And they have created employment for more than 200 plus international candidates in the recent years. They hire people not only from India but all over the world. They are not only providing IT consulting but are into R&D and software engineering as well. So today we are going to talk about a lot of useful information. Make sure to watch this video till the end. And before we get into the video, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel. It's a small effort for you, but it will help us to grow our channel to the next level. Thanks for joining us today. Before we get into the main topic regarding the job market and everything, we wanted to understand a bit more of your personal side of it, like which part of India you are from, and since how long you're living in the Netherlands.
Thank you, Vinod, for having me here. I come from the south part of India. I have been living in Netherlands since 2006. It's almost 17 years.
Quite some time.
Exactly, half Dutch. By mind, I'm in Dutch, and by heart, I'm an Indian.
And how did BRAINBOX happen? Like, what is the sparking point for you to start up this BRAINBOX Consulting?
Absolutely, that's a good question indeed. So me and my partner both come from, with a background of IT and R&D software. That's very important because it's 2 parts. In the times of 2014, 2015, 16, 17, so we saw there is a huge demand for the IT talent.
Okay, in the Netherlands you mean?
In the Netherlands.
Okay.
And where we come from is our motherland has so much of IT talent, right? So then socially also, right, there is a cause that we can connect the talent to the opportunity. And the way of working, or let's say the strategy with the companies in the Netherlands, right, they keep certain percentage, which is 70-30, what we call it as. It's not necessarily the exact numbers. 70% is their in-house employment, and then 30% goes to the consulting companies. So the reason is to get more outside in, right? A lot of expertise. Consulting companies have broad experience working with different customers, which is also connecting to my own experience as such. Like I worked with 20 plus companies in the Netherlands on different projects. So what is the 30% bracket? How we can fill that 30% bracket within a company. That's how it started, right? We want to bring the talent from abroad, not only from India, but also the other parts like, the South America and then Eastern Europe. But our strength is in India. That's where we started, let's bring the talent and connect with the opportunities in the Netherlands. That's the first step for the BRAINBOX.
Okay, interesting. How is the current market condition, let's say the job market condition in the Netherlands? We often hear about the economy slowing down and there are a lot of hiring freeze and layoffs that has happened in the 2022. So since you are already on the market, you do have quite close contact with the customers. How do you see this?
I would say that it's in a little bit of correction and then holding on, right? Basically, because of the geopolitical situation, macroeconomy, there are multiple reasons for it. So the companies are taking a little bit of measures to hold upon. Compared to the last 4 years, 5 years, the volume of the jobs is less. If I can talk about the numbers from 2022, there were around 1.6 million job vacancies were listed out. And even to be precise, out of every 20 jobs, one job is IT job. So which is approximately 85,000 job vacancies listed out. So this year, relatively, the number has come down. The companies are hiring, let's say, for example, the niche areas where they need to run the business, right, in the current business.
Business critical resources.
Business critical positions, but not really, the forecasting, basically, okay, preparing for the next year. So that has been put on hold. The expert says that the market can come back to the same level from the Q3 2024 onwards, basically. So we will come back to the same position where we were in 2022, but then the next 3 quarters or 4 quarters will be a little bit slow.
If you look at the current Dutch market, what are the jobs that are in high demand? For instance, it can be in IT or even in non-IT.
Let me start with IT. That would be my favorite area. Not the current situation, but let's look at the general, right? Last 5 years, if I look back. Majority of the areas like, the engineering area, right? Let's say, for example, embedded software development, right? So mechanical, electrical and electronics.
Those are design areas, you mean?
Design areas. These are on high demand. And the second area is like, we call it as software development, which is technically connected like, the full stack development based on Microsoft technologies and Java, etc. And the third area is more of like cybersecurity, which is also quite niche because of the digital transformation, digitalization of the business. 2 more other areas like insights and data, what we call it as, right? Where playing with big data and data science, the companies has to put up some business case, etc., etc. The upcoming, and which will be growing much faster, is AI and machine learning, right? At this moment, it is in very initial stage, how to build the AI models connected to your business, but this is very much growing, and I would recommend anybody to pursue their jobs or opportunities. It is the best area to, focus on.
Even I've heard that a lot of companies have been investing into AI capabilities.
Indeed.
Those are pretty much in the proto and pilot phases. Still the scaling up is yet to happen.
Yet to happen. It's like, 4 years ago or 5 years ago when we were talking about data science and big data. Now we are talking about AI and ML, especially in the innovation. Netherlands is very popular for the innovation. They encourage a lot of, new ideas, new solutions, which will help to accelerate the business. There must be a good reason for doing the AI, right? AI is a buzzword at this moment.
And also looking from the supply chain perspective, people always think that there are a lot of supply chain opportunities, specifically in Netherlands, because of having a big port in Rotterdam, as well as in the connection towards the other European countries. So how do you see the supply chain market currently growing up in the Netherlands?
We are also doing business in the supply chain area. We call it as BRAINBOX Digital. So where we are specialized in procurement. If you are looking at the functional roles within the supply chain, it's not that a lot like compared to the IT jobs. But there are also a lot of functional roles if you connect with technology like in SAP, right? So the ERP is implemented quite well. For example, functional consultant in sales and distribution, functional consultant in material management. There are many areas in the supply chain. It is also quite niche area at this moment in the Netherlands.
Do you think Dutch would be, the Dutch language requirements would be a barrier in any of these areas?
In general, we classify the segments, right? So industries, let's say. One is the commercial sector. The other part is like public sector. So the public sector, mostly they ask for the Dutch speaking. The reason why their systems are in Dutch, the people are Dutch speaking. So they are obviously where you need definitely Dutch speaking people. Otherwise, it's not possible. When it comes to the global companies like manufacturing, engineering, e-commerce, these areas where there is a lot of opportunities for English speaking as well. Some core functions, what we also call it as like legal, pharma, finance, where the compliance is critical. There also, it's mostly Dutch speaking because of their compliance and local regulations. So there it's very difficult to get in until unless you speak Dutch.
And the level would be like B1?
Let's say B2 level where, for the professional communication at a business, you have to have both writing skills, listening skills and reading skills, speaking skills, all of them together. So Dutch are very good. 90% of the population speaks very good English, but still, the systems are in Dutch, so obviously they need to Dutch.
If you look at the whole recruitment process, usually when a company needs to hire a resource, what could be the reason that they want to hire from abroad? It can be within Europe or it can be outside Europe as well, but what are the driving factors that needs resources outside Netherlands?
I would say supply and demand. The economy is growing quite a lot. Around 82,000 companies in the Netherlands hire or let's say have their IT related work. And as I said, there are like 85,000 job vacancies listed last year in the IT sector. There is a categorization like highly skilled jobs.
Yeah.
So the highly skilled jobs are like, connecting to the IT as well. There is a much demand and less people available in the Netherlands.
For that specific skill set, you mean?
Exactly, exactly. So, which is, very broad categories as such, but whenever they don't find or they see that, there are some local statistics data available, so about the availability of the skilled people in the Netherlands, and when we don't have those skilled people, then we obviously go for hiring abroad. And then we look at the specific target countries where they're expert in these areas. For example, take India, right? So, the education system is quite rapidly changing in order to fulfill the demands of the globalization, basically. So coming to the curriculum, coming to the, India is pretty much very quick in adopting towards the new products and how they are implemented. So there is a lot of skill available in India. So whenever we see there is no availability of those skills here, and then we consider it as a highly skilled demand, and then we go for hiring from abroad.
Okay. Yeah. Should we also need to prove the local government that we have searched for resources locally, we couldn't find it, so that's why we are going to hire from abroad? Absolutely. Regarding the visa application process and all?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there is a huge process for every company because the Dutch government will audit the companies, how we are hiring as well. If we are hiring any expats, let's say, they look at the reasoning why we are hiring from abroad. If we have those people, skilled people available in the Netherlands, we should hire from the Netherlands. Yeah. If not, then we are allowed to hire. Then we submit our application towards the Immigration and Nationalization Department, that's called as IND. And then IND also has their own way of validation. Okay. And then only they will approve. As per the process or the compliance, we have to list the position in the Netherlands first, and then we need to process the applications. If we don't find this, right candidate for that position, then we are allowed to hire from abroad.
And that leads to my next question. Say, for instance, if somebody wants to move abroad, for example, people from India, they want to move here, what are the venues they can use to search for those kind of jobs? And once they find the right job, how do they approach it?
Of course, the Google is the best friend, right? So where they can search for the positions or job vacancies, but otherwise the LinkedIn is very highly used in the Netherlands. If the candidate knows which company he's targeting for, then they can directly go and look at their company website where they have a career section or job vacancy section. They can apply the job there. Okay. So these are the two ways to do it. I would like to tell a little bit of my personal experience here, right? For one of the company, I think I submitted my application 20 times for different jobs. I never got a response. Then later I learned why I didn't get a response. So I was very tempted to look at the title and apply at one point of time. I'm being very open here, right? So, but the lesson learned from there, like most of the jobs I applied, also asking for Dutch language, which I didn't have. So it's unqualified submission.
Okay, so basically not looking at the job title, but we have to look at the job description.
Exactly. So my advice is like quality versus quantity. You might apply for 100 jobs, you get 100 rejections, but you apply for 5 jobs. If your CV is going through for 2 jobs into shortlist position, you're already good. So the first thing is to look at the job requirement. What is it basically? What are they asking? The second part is, am I be the right fit for this position, right? If I'm not, then it's better to stay back. Hold your horses. And if you're the right fit, then do little more research. Which company? What is this company? What are they doing? What is my motivation to work for this company, right? And how I can connect my story to their story. It is not only one-sided, right? What can I give to the company? So you need to go through and validate first of all, and then submit your application.
By that you mean that increases the quality of the application?
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, the attention towards your application will have a bit more higher than the normal application, basically.
And during the selection process, like if one wants to shortlist the job that he wants to apply, he or she wants to apply, there is always some criteria that's required in the job description. For instance, Dutch is mandatory. Or even some cases like having Dutch is plus. Some jobs will mention that sponsorship provided, like visa sponsorship is provided, and some jobs doesn't have any clue about like available or not.
Indeed.
And also looking at the percentage match, for instance, like how much percentage this job is matching my profile. It's 70% match or 90% match. How one should rationalize themselves when shortlisting these kind of jobs?
I'll go one by one answer, right? So let's say, for example, from the BRAINBOX, if we list a vacancy, we make an explicit call out visa sponsorship is possible. Or let's say, for example, we work with public sector customers now, right, quite a lot. Due to the EU regulations, they always ask for the people with EU passport, let's say, right? Which is very specific ask because of the compliance and local rules and regulations. And some of the jobs are explicitly in the public sector, it's Dutch speaking jobs. Then we make an explicit call out. Other tip is like, if they see the job description, which is written in Dutch, it's obvious that it's Dutch speaking. You need to know the Dutch. Sometimes you also you see the job descriptions in English, but then Dutch is nice to have. The reason is, right, the companies have very senior people working there with the company for 40, 50 years. They are not really good English speakers, right? They're not comfortable, let's say. They are very good English speakers. Then they would say that knowing Dutch is a plus. But technically the position, like the niche area, then it is not really putting a lot of weightage on the Dutch language demand. So then people can get lucky. I would say if it is asking for Dutch, don't apply. Right? It's as simple as that. So try to validate that part, and then if it is matching, I cannot give what is the criteria, right? It always depends on what is coming in. I always, as a hiring manager, I would like to have 110% match. But it's not possible. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't get it. And then based on the submissions what I have, which one has most eligibility or criteria, right? So for example, the skill match, the background or the previous experience into similar industry, similar systems, the complexity plays a role, right? For example, in the engineering sector, we always look for the people in a very similar industry experience, like, aeronautical industry or manufacturing industry, because they are the good fits. Very simple, tangible example, like a test engineer coming from an IT application experience is very different from coming from a medical system background experience.
Domain knowledge is important.
Domain knowledge, because two different things. So when I have these two, then I'll go for the most closer one, right? Because of the complexities and experience. So you can say 80% to above 80% if it is a good match, and if it is interesting for you with the experience connecting to it, then you are the best match.
But there is always a thought for our viewers, basically. I don't have a European experience, but still this role specifically matches my experience back in India, but I don't have an European experience. So how do we look at it? Like, is European experience, is that mandatory, or?
It depends on the individual. The reason why they're making explicit call out is like, the growth in last 7 years, right? So there are a lot of performance issues with the people because of the cultural shock, right? So in very simple terms, I would call it as, in the Netherlands, it's more pull method than the push method. So there will be a lead or manager who will guide or tell the team, not the guide, tell the team what they need to do on the day-to-day basis. When it comes to the Netherlands, nobody will tell you. You have your own role, you have your own responsibilities, and you are accountable for your own role, your own position. So that's more of pull mechanism. To deal with such kind of cultural differences, it is nice to have an European experience where you have the culture. If someone worked from somewhere remotely with a European team, they also know how to deal with their colleagues on the day-to-day basis.
And this is going to be one of the most asked questions from our viewers. These days, they apply for a lot of jobs and they end up with too many rejections immediately. So in your view, what could be the possible reasons for the rejection?
First thing is, don't be very desperate. As I said, even not looking at the job description, people submit their applications. That's first mistake. And the second is like, even the interviews is like a dating, right? Within half an hour, you see the fitment from each side, basically. Am I the right fit? Is it the right company? Is it the right candidate? Most of the times we get a standard CV. CV is about talking about yourself, right? You have to also prepare the CV in such a way that, it's interesting for the hiring manager to read and gives the right pointers in the right area. So that gives a lot of attention to the CV. And then simple things like, grammar and spelling mistakes, right? So every small element is, important for the hiring manager to look at your quality. Motivation is one big thing. I see a lot of people, they just use the standard motivations, templates, which are there on the internet. Spend time. So try to understand the job and why you want to apply for this job. What is your own interest, your personal interest? There is a little bit of emotion in it as well. So your justification towards, so write down the motivation. Spend time. A lot of people doesn't do that. They try to repeat the CV and the motivation. Absolutely wrong. Motivation is in one page or half page where you can precisely write what do I want to tell about, why I am interested in this job, why I'm a good candidate for this job, etc. And second thing, from the hiring side, when they receive, like 1 into 200, like they have one position, 200 application, obviously there will be a lot of filters, right? Set, the criteria will be who is available immediately, who is the good match, who matches most of the asks in the job description. There are so many elements in it, but these are the most important elements where they say, okay, rest will be rejected. So last year it was like 2.5 jobs and one candidate, but now it's other way around.
So if we look at the order of hiring, for instance, if a role is published and we have local students that are getting graduated in the similar area, and we have local expat population who is already based in the Netherlands and they work here, and we have European candidates and we have international candidates. So how do you see that the company will go step by step in expanding their candidate search area, or how does it usually work?
Well, obviously the preference goes to the local people, right? But also at the same time fitment. If they are not really good fit, even the local, then there is no option, right? It's a permutations and combination. From the location preference size wise, then they go for the EU local people and then go for the abroad candidates. Then it goes with the criteria also, bit of salary and benefits as well, right? So if I'm getting the best for less salary, then obviously I'll go for that option as a company, because for me the cost. Nowadays, due to the inflation, speculations as well, people are quoting too high salaries. The Dutch are very standard. The companies follow standards. There is no big difference between one company to other company, like media, senior, lead, etc. The range is very much standard. Most of the jobs also give an indication what salary they will offer.
So if they have explicitly mentioned about the salary range, that's fine. But in some cases, for example, people from India, if they don't have any clue of what is the market condition in the Netherlands, how do they do their salary research?
Yeah, there are so many tools, let's say, or the websites in the internet, like Glassdoor, for example, right, which gives an indication for a software engineer with 5 years of experience, what would be the salary range. Or else you ask around within your own network. If you know people here, you can ask them as well.
Well, you explained you were talking about the desperateness, because these days we could see a lot of people who are desperate to move abroad for whatever reasons it may be. In those cases, if somebody wants to move to Netherlands, what they can expect from this kind of market and how they should prepare themselves mentally before moving to Netherlands? Or maybe like, what are the pros and cons of moving to Netherlands, just to put it in a simple way?
It's very interesting question, right? I keep hearing from a lot of people, the tax is too high here. You don't get anything for free. It's good to do some research, because it's a big change in the personal life as well, right? The first thing is the cultural shift or cultural shock. Take an example like, when you're sick, you need to go to hospital. In some parts of the world, for example, right, we can easily get that access to healthcare, but here it's very different. Just be prepared for it. Prepare yourself to have that open mindset and acceptance. For example, the systems are in Dutch, the healthcare system or education system, etc., etc. Especially family with kids and all, right, they should be prepared to put them in the Dutch school. Of course, there are options to put them in an international school, but just be prepared, right? Because these are all the differences as such. Do not look at your manager or team leader or the company to promote you every time. You need to identify, you need to find that path. So a lot of people go by cycles here, right? For example, right? You just prepare for those kind of things. The weather is like, the precondition to plan anything. So these things you need to adopt.
From the financial standpoint, do you think that how much would be the savings potential that one can expect from the Dutch market or earning from the Dutch market? Even
before going to the calculations, I would ask myself, if I'm the person who wants to relocate, why am I coming here?
Exactly.
Is it only for the financial benefit? Then you look at the financial numbers. Or do you want to, experience your life and do you want to experience your career in a such kind of environment, right? That's the second thing. We need to ask ourselves, why am I coming here? Right? If I'm putting all the tick marks for this one, the financial benefits might be not a big thing for me, right? A trade-off. If I'm only coming for the financial benefit, then you just make a number out of it. The average cost of living has gone high, quite high recently. So just be prepared for it, right? But at the same time, for the expats, we have certain benefits. One is the 30% ruling, what we call it as 30% of the income is non-taxable, which is already a big benefit. And there is second element called child care benefit. The family has a child or one or two or maybe more, up to 16 years, the government will pay a certain benefit for them, to a small amount basically. So these elements are given, and education system, right, it's free. right? If you are putting your kids in the Dutch education system, you know, the best education system, one of the best education systems in the world. You need to put your weightage and then make a decision.
And coming back to the BrainBox Consulting, so with reference to this company, what are your future plans?
So we started company in 2017 based in Netherlands. In last 2 years, we are expanding our footprints in the Asia Pacific market. We have a base in India, our own development center. We are also exploring towards the North America market. So we want to go globally, right, based on the need. Employees perspective, we have people working from across the world. We have people from Eastern Europe countries, you know, India, Middle East, and North America and Europe. From the business perspective, at this point of time, operations are in Europe, based in Netherlands and India, as well as we are getting towards the North America.
Thank you so much for your valuable insights. Indeed, it's a great pleasure meeting you in person, as well as you gave us a lot of useful insights about the job application process, what are the mistakes done by the candidates, and what are the expectations from the clients and so on. So we wish you all the success for your growth and expansion of BrainBox Consulting.
Thank you. And also I saw a lot of your videos. So you're bringing very valuable information towards your viewers, right? And also there are a lot of people looking for that kind of authentic information, right, across the world. I think your videos will help them to find their own paths and you know, become successful in their career hunt.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're doing a
Thank you so
great
much.
job. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Namaste.